If you're an anime fan, or a gamer, or both, you're probably wondering the same question we've all been wondering for a long time now. Why on earth are anime games so trash? And I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 trash games. Like recently we've all been thinking about that Jujutsu Kaisen game. We wanted it to be at least decent so badly, but we knew it was going to be trash. But we didn't think it was going to be that trash. Well, okay, maybe we did, but you get the idea. And it's been like this for a while. I'd say like 60% of anime games are complete trash. 35% of them are okay, like the Storm games and that Demon Slayer game, which are I think by CC2, that's why. And every now and then you get a gem like Dragon Ball FighterZ, and some of the older anime games were better, but we're talking about the modern games. But why is that? Well, while we all know the usual, like they're rushed, they're just cash grabs to make use of their big names, like Jujutsu Kaisen, just the fact that it has Jujutsu Kaisen in the name, it was gonna get a good amount of sales. But now look, it broke the record for the most refunds in the smallest amount of time. So they can't keep relying on that. But why do they keep doing this? And most of all, why are they wasting such a big name like Jujutsu Kaisen? And a franchise where there is so much opportunity to make a good game. Like the characters, the storyline. In fact, forget storyline for a second because we know the story is good, but maybe there's the argument we've already seen the story, we need to see something different. But most of all, the characters and the fighting dynamics give the potential for such a great game. Like their powers in Jujutsu Kaisen are so unique. If you look at Nobara, if you look at Yuji, he uses just his hands, he's simple. But then you look at Gojo, you look at Megumi, he fights with summons. You look at Todo, who teleports around, like kind of like Hit. They could easily make a great anime game if they put the time and effort into it and the passion. Or at the very least, make a replica of what is a great anime game. You know, the one we're all thinking of, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I know it's kind of simple, but you cannot go wrong with that formula. Especially a franchise like Jujutsu Kaisen, where the powers are so unique, and each character would have great individuality, and where each character would play differently. But other than that, I came to a realization about the big reason why we keep getting these trash and most of all rushed anime games for such big franchises like Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece even. And this may sound weird, but hear me out. I realized this because of all the talks about why that Madam Web movie was so trash. Hear me out. Welcome to the channel, I'm your boy Kaizen, we're here to discuss it. Leave a like, subscribe. I don't get many subscribers for my videos. Each subscriber means the most to me. I'm trying to build this community up, trying to reach 1,000 by the end of this year and 500 by summer. So subscribe, have some faith in the channel, and be an OG on my YouTube journey. But with that said, let's get straight into the discussion. So you may be wondering, what the hell does Madam Web have to do with anime games, specifically Bandai Namco games? Well, due to Madam Web trending for all the wrong reasons why it's so trash and whatnot, I was watching some videos on it, and one of them was very interesting. It explained how Sony's been making these trash movies apparently connected to Spider-Man, and such rushed movies and poorly written movies, because if they don't make a certain amount of movies within a certain amount of time, like let's say for example they have, I don't know, this is just an example, let's say they have 3 years to make a movie somewhat connected to the Spider-Man verse, the Sony verse, like Madam Web. If they don't meet that quota or criteria or whatever, they lose the rights to the IP and it gets taken away. And they obviously don't want to do that because that's the moneymaker, you know, Spider-Man. Everyone wanted Spider-Man, but they can't just keep making great Spider-Man movies every 2 to 3 years. In fact, let's be honest, their main success comes from the Tom Holland movies, which is with Disney. If you look at the movies they made without Disney, you know, Venom is like a hit or miss for a lot of people. Like I was looking at the reviews for all the Sony Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man verse movies. Venom 1's reviews were actually lower than Venom 2, which made no sense to me. Venom 1 is clearly superior. Like, comment down below if you disagree with me, or am I just crazy? Because I'm pretty sure Venom 2, it had one great fight, and other than that, it was 90 minutes of complete garbage. Less than 90 minutes, which is crazy in this day and age. But yeah, so they make like really mid movies, let's be honest. Some great moments with Venom here and there, but overall, like, the standard is very low with the Sony Spider-Man verse movies. But if they don't make these movies, they lose the rights. And you know how much money, how much bread, how much mullah the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies make. Whether they're carried by Disney or not, they're making money. And they don't want to lose the rights. So that brings me to the topic of anime games. If Bandai doesn't make these games in a certain amount of time, could it be, and I'm not saying this is a fact, you guys can fact check if I'm wrong or right, I'm not trying to spread misinformation, of course, correct me in the comments, feel free to, but could it be that, let's say for example, they got the rights to Demon Slayer, right? what was the biggest complaint of that Demon Slayer game? Because as far as gameplay goes, that's one of the much better anime games. Still far from perfect, you know, we obviously want better anime games, but as far as anime games go, you know, they basically took the Storm formula, which is decent anime games by CC2, and put it into a Demon Slayer skin with some sword gameplay, because I know like there's not as many swords in Naruto Storm, but more or less it was the same combat. So it was a good game gameplay wise, but what was the biggest complaint? I'll tell you what it was in case you don't know, but any of you who've played it, you know. Lack of content, lack of game modes, not enough support, not enough long-term support. They added some free characters to that and some DLC, and I think that was it. I think they added the Mugen Train DLC. Did they add Season 2? I'm trying to remember. I think they added Season 2, but I'm not sure if they added the story mode. They may have just added the characters. And that's it. And then we didn't get any more modes. Did they even add a tournament mode? I don't think they did. But why is that? Well, it's kind of obvious they're gonna make a sequel to that Demon Slayer game. But why bother with a sequel instead of just updating that game or, you know, making it a big game all at once? It's because they want to milk it. Not just for more money and future games and future sales, but because then they get to keep that IP for longer and longer. I mean, look at the Demon Slayer manga. It ended what, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and people are still buying it. Demon Slayer is going to be popular for years to come. Same for Jujutsu Kaisen. So when they make these games, it extends how long they get to keep these games. But instead of just making one great game, they're desperate to keep the IP, so they just keep making these trash rushed games in a certain amount of time. That's why I think Sparking Zero is so important, because they've put 5+ years into this. By the time it comes out, it'll be 6 or more years, which I think it will be 2025. But then this just begs the question, what needs to be done to change this? Could it be if a game is successful enough, even if they space out how often they make games for that franchise, for example, Sparking Zero? I know Dragon Ball is going to get games regularly, obviously it's Dragon Ball, they're going to get successful games, but let's say Sparking Zero is super successful. Does that mean that they're under less pressure to make a game very quickly, or is it still the same? Because if a game like Jujutsu Kaisen was made well, could it be that it will get more sales and then they don't have to worry as much, you know, about losing the rights to that franchise? Also, we all know this already, but just to point out, a key indicator as to how rushed most of these games are, like Jujutsu Kaisen, is the fact that a lot of them are blatant copy and paste games. Like, for example, if you've played the My Hero game, not Ultra Rumble, I'm talking about, what's it called? One's Justice, that's it. If you've played that game and then you look at Jujutsu Kaisen, you can clearly tell it is the exact same gameplay. Maybe they changed a thing or two here and they added, like, what is it? Is it 3v3 or 2v2, whatever it is? Gameplay wise itself, it is the same combat. And on top of that, to make matters worse, it's not even good combat. And the worst thing of all, like, you guys, if you've seen the gameplay for these games or played them, you know what I'm talking about. The gameplay is so floaty and it feels way too easy, and there's no layers, there's no complexity to the combat whatsoever, to the mechanics. And that's the worst feeling, because it makes the gameplay feel so unsatisfying. Like, I'm not saying it has to be as complex as Tekken or whatnot, but you know, in those more well-made fighting games, the combat feels so satisfying. Dragon Ball FighterZ, it feels much more satisfying. And even in like the Storm games, like at least there's some satisfaction, there's some level of complexity, but even then, like, we're scraping the barrel here, really. I think what we need is for them to stop trying to capitalize on hype. Like, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen right now, if you open TikTok or Twitter, if you have any kind of anime post that you leave likes on, Jujutsu Kaisen is going to come up in your timeline one way or another, whether it's your For You page, your Instagram Explore page, your Twitter feed, whatever it is. That's how trendy it is right now. Sorry, my mic muted there for a second. But as I was saying, yeah, they've clearly tried to just capitalize on the hype of these shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, for example. But what they've done is they've used the hype to get short-term but quick money instead of long-term constant, like, rise in sales. For example, look at a game like Baldur's Gate 3 or Helldive. They may not have had huge hype other than like a cult-like following, you know, their fans are hardcore, but Look how popular the games are getting now, where even now, like for Baldur's Gate, it's been months and it's still getting sales and sales to the point they had to make a physical copy for PlayStation. And Helldivers, every time I open social media, I see Helldivers. I promise you, I know I'm gonna sound like a casual, I never heard of Helldivers before like this week. It just shows that when a game is actually good, it will get sales, even if it's not from a huge franchise. And I feel like recent games in the past 2-ish months have really proved that, whereas AAA games have been suffering more than ever. Like, look at Ubisoft, they're fighting for their life right now. And honestly, they're just an example of how greedy developers are ruining gaming. And recently, indie games have been thriving the most. And it's really shown how greediness has ruined the big name games, and how developers who are really passionate are thriving more than ever. But honestly guys, this was more of a ramble discussion rather than like a huge informational video. I just wanted to like say my thoughts out loud. I kind of want to hear your thoughts. Feel free to comment down below. I did have some more things to say, but my mic got muted there for a second and I kind of cut out and I forgot what I said when I was muted, so sorry about that. We don't believe in professionalism on this channel. Make sure to subscribe if you agree. I barely get any subs from my channel on my videos. I get like 5 subs per video, so when you sub, it means the most to me. Don't ever feel like your sub doesn't mean much to me. I just hit 300 subs. I'm so grateful. Thank you guys. I'm trying to hit 500 by this summer and 1000 this year. So subscribe. Let's build this community up. I have plenty of other videos. Well, I have a few other videos out. Some of them are on screen right now. I'm still obviously in the early phases of my channel with just a couple videos and only 300-ish subs. So be an OG and subscribe now. Hopefully I'll make it big and you become, you know, like an OG of a big channel. So yeah, they should be on screen now. I think you'll like them. Check them out. That's it. Subscribe, check them out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.